Hello everyone, how's it going? So tonight I want to look at the microKorg again, and something silly I decided to do is try to turn it into an actual drum machine. So I'm going to walk you through the sounds I came up with. So I've come and mimicked it to be the same as the Volca Beats. So we got our kick, my attempt at making a snare, and then the low tom, and a mid-high tom. Sounds kind of Game Boy-ish, but whatever. And then a closed hat and a open hat. Trying to do a clap. And then kind of a shaker sound. Yeah, so those are the sounds I came up with. Maybe, and what I want to do is I grab some drum loops out of this book here, which is pretty handy if you're a hack like me and you just want to put together half decent drum loops and then modify them as this 260 drum machine pattern. So I took some of the pop patterns within here. Let's see if I can find it. Not that it really matters. Basically, there's a section in here of a whole bunch of pop loops. So I took these and I chucked them into Reaper, into a Reaper project over here. This is what's recording right now, but in this pop drums project I basically recorded all the different drum loops into different parts. So we're going to hook those up with the microKorg and we're going to compare them against the Volca Beats. So for example, if you want to hear what these drum loops sound like, I'm just going to plug in the Volca Beats because it's already ready to go here. And let's try running one of these drum loops that I came up with using that book against the Volca Beats. As my dog has a nice drink of water back there to the beat. It's okay, Bill. You're a good dog. All right. You get the idea. So, whoops. What am I doing here? Wrong button. Stop it. There we go. So that's the plan, at least. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. Is I want to take these drum parts I came up with on the microKorg here, and we're going to record it. And I'm not going to do that while on our camera. And we're going to see how it sounds like compared to the Volca Beats. And maybe we're going to layer them together. Maybe we'll add some effects on and see what we can come up with. Before I do that, I just give you a couple. If you want to know how I came up with these the drum sounds, check out my tutorial on this guy, especially the last section where I go a bit into sound design. But if you're in a rush and you just want to know kind of the basics, I've made some notes. And these are from How to Make a Noise book by Simon Can. It's got a bunch of good examples in there, but my chicken scratch here. So the kicks basically were a low-pitched sine wave or triangle wave, no attack, fast decay with no sustain, and add a pitch envelope for some punch. I'm going to get into some of the stuff I did with the LFO before, just to give you an idea of some of the options you have there with the microKorg. Closed hats were noise or high tune square, no attack, short decay, no sustain, and then you tune the filter around to get it where you sound like. For the open hats, just extend the decay. The snare is the same as the kick. I forgot to mention that, but you just pitch it a bit higher and use some noise. The clap, you just use noise and effects together. And that was about it. And then I kind of just did the toms and whatnot and the claps and all that other fun stuff. And the shaker is I just playing around. But a couple things I just want to show you on. This is the kick sound, and let's make sure we unplug the beats for now and put our microKorg back in. Cool. Couple things I just wanted to show you here. So these patch 1 to 4 are quite handy for doing different type things with the sound. You remember how I mentioned I used the amp envelope to add a bit of a punch to it? So basically that's where I set under, pardon me, patch 1 here. I said use the amp envelope, apply it to the pitch, and so this one here allows you how much of an impact that envelope is going to have against the pitch. I went with a value of 26, which seemed to be okay. What did I use the other one? I said, hey, LFO2. Affect the amp a little bit. So what I was trying to do with this one, and not much, is if I'm going to be using this for a drum machine, one thing that gets kind of boring with drums is if it always sounds the same, right? If it sounds too machiney, where it's like the exact same hit, the exact same sound every time the drum machine triggers, I like to put a little variance on the volume, because in real life when a drummer's playing, it's not going to sound like a machine hitting the drum with the exact same velocity and position on the drum every time. You're going to have a slight variation to the sound. So that's what I'm trying to do with that patch there. So, you know, you get a little bit of a difference on the hits. And to add a little bit of space on this one, I'm using LFO1 to pan the sound left and right just a little bit. So it adds a little bit of space to the sound to make it sound a little bit bigger than it actually is. So we'll kind of go back from left and right just a little bit. It's hard to tell, but that's where it should be, where you can't really pick up on it unless you're really specifically trying to hear to it. If you're hearing it in a mix, it's going to make the drum sound a little bit larger. I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at. Okay, and I use those tricks throughout some of these drum parts. I think that's enough. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just basically go into Reaper here. I'm not going to bother showing you it, but I've recorded all the MIDI parts separately for each of the drum loops, and I'm going to record the microKorg now into those, and I'll meet you back here in just 1 second. We'll see how it sounds. All right, so I grabbed all the recordings. The top one here was a couple drum loops from the Volca Beats. So we'll just hear that to begin with here. So basically you have drum loop 1 here, drum loop 2 here, and then 1, 1, and then a little break. So let's go ahead and mute that, and then we can hear the various microKorg parts for those. We have closed hat, bass drum, snare drum, hi-hat, or probably high tom and low tom, or at least my approximations of them, trying to synthesize them up myself. So we'll hear how they all work together here. So there's closed hat. Let's add in the bass drum from the microKorg. And then the snare drum. And then we'll add the toms and the break. They're only involved in the break back there. And then let's add in the Volca Beats, just so, because what I wanted to try this out was basically to add kind of these silly drum sounds on a synthesizer against a drum machine to see if it really adds much to the drum machine or not. So yeah, not bad, eh? It's kind of fun. So just gonna give you an idea what the Volca Beats sounds by itself again. The closed hat doesn't seem to be making much of a difference, I think, because it sounds pretty in line with the Volca Beats one. Little bit. The bass drum does make quite a big difference though. And I like that effect. Snare drum is interesting. I'm not sure how close to an actual snare it sounds like, but more like some hammer in a bucket or something. that Game Boy little sound effect at the end with the toms. So there you go. And then, you know, once you got it in here too, you can play around with the effects too and go from there. So if you want to add some weird delay effects or reverb on these, you can do it in your DAW as well to make some cool sounding drum loops that you can add to your other music you're making. Yeah, let's play around a little bit. I really like this, I don't want a synth, I want to delay this object delay plugin. Because it has within here these rhythmic loop manglers, which are kind of fun against, even that's kind of cool. Finding the right one might be a bit of a guessing game. And you can also build up your own patches here. Let's just solo this for a sec. So that sounds god awful. Yeah, you know what? It ain't working tonight, so we'll just leave it as is and we'll call that a loop. And there you go. Little fun you can have with just the microKorg and a silly drum machine like the Volca Beats to make some unique sounds. Hope you find that useful, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.